I am NetMoverSitan. Welcome to the plants abnormality section. Will this be hippie heaven or hell? Let's find out. This section shall cover the abnormalities that look like plants, and no, there aren't any sentient weed plants. I prefer any comedy that I watch to be at least somewhat tasteful. In fact, I remember a clip of something like that in... Getting off topic! Let's move on to the first abnormality. The grave of cherry blossoms. Now, pink is a colour that has different meanings in different cultures. In North America and Europe, it's considered a feminine colour. In Korea, it's the colour of trust, while in Japan, it's the colour of warriors. Specifically as they fall, as the cherry blossom petals do. If the work result is good or the agent panics, the risk of a breach increases, which is shown by the cherry blossoms starting to bloom. When it's fully bloomed and the Quivov counter is 0, 5 random agents are captivated and drawn to this abnormality. Those that get to it are sucked into the tree and killed, although shaking them out of it will bring them back to normal. Although after killing an employee, and an employee works on it, the counter is reset and it heals HP and SP. Right. The price for a tree that heals both body and mind. It sounds too high, doesn't it? Next, you'll be saying that sacrificing humans kept the Spanish away from the empires of Central and South America. It's a tree that stands within its containment unit, not withering, even though it's without sustenance. It might seem harmless when it blooms, captivating those that work on it, even distracting them and causing them to make mistakes. This tree feeds on blood. That'd make a decent musical, wouldn't it? In fact, I think it did. I'm doing it again, aren't I? I'm going off topic. And I bet some of you are screaming at your monitor, or whatever you're watching this on, with the words, "Can you just get on with it?" Okay, I shall. Next we have... You know when I said that there wouldn't be any sentient weed plants? I didn't say there'd be no sentient opium poppies. It's Porcupus. This plant responds best to normal results. Anything else risks it breaching, and those that have a good result and have less than level 4 temperance are killed by it. Those with less than level 4 temperance, while it's breaching, receive white damage from it, and any attacks outside its attack range will do nothing. So melee is the way to go as far as suppression is concerned, if there are any that can take the beating. Porcupus is one that only the employees who live the lowest of the low are sent to work on. Other employees call it the trust game, more like the canary in the cage lowered into the mines. Apparently, only those with a high amount of discipline are sent to work on it, rather than try to escape from the grim reality with things like violence, gambling, eating, basically anything that can take the mind off of the nightmare of the facility. And believe me, there's a lot of that there. Apparently, it's difficult to become intimate with it, but it's easier to guess what is required once they do. It might even lean down to allow access to its thorns. Getting pricked by them is initially painful, but then an intense happiness occurs to the point when those prick drools. This was addictive. Think opium poppy, but much stronger and easier to access the narcotic within, as those who haven't seen it for a while get withdrawal. Some employees pull out all their teeth due to feeling like insects are setting up home in their mouths. One touch was initially enough, but then they have to scrape themselves with them just to recreate the original high. The Sephora Nezhak would love this one. It can make those feel like their head is about to burst and sweat like they've been in a sauna too long. Yeah. Now you can see why those sent to work on it are either too disciplined to want to touch the thorns or just want to give up on life and embrace oblivion. It's not aggressive and doesn't eat those around it. They die due to an overdose of what its thorns are coated with. Well, hell is already there for those in this grim dark world, so they'd be more than willing to die happy. It makes people smile until death. Wait. Did this abnormality come from the DC universe? Because the effect sounds like the signature weapon of a certain psychotic clown. Yeah, you know the one. Next we have something that even the most eco-mental of hippies would be wise to avoid. The Parasite Tree. A tree that blesses employees with greater work efficiency. But a bulb appeared with each employee blessed, which went away when they were killed. And when 5 appeared on the Parasite Tree, and on employees, the blessed would become smaller versions of that tree. It risks breaching when an abnormality escapes. When 5 works are done on other abnormalities without the tree being worked on. Oh, and the smaller trees secrete poison. This is a tree with plenty of leaves with a flower scent, which provided those that worked on it psychological comforts. It can communicate with employees. When the body and mind of an employee is exhausted, those that work on it start to happily continue working on it. Very few can sincerely smile in the Lobotomy Corporation. Usually a sign of something wrong. They're usually observed when this abnormal behavior is reported. If there's more than one report regarding this issue, and that includes contacting the tree itself, it's certainly a cause for concern. and they need to be dealt with accordingly. Yeah. This is the kind of tree that poison ivy could get down with. As this would prove to be a fatal mistake for those employees. The Parasite Tree said that it wanted to contribute towards humanity's quest for prosperity and advancement, with no malicious intent picked up. It turned all those blessed into smaller versions of itself, being reborn. All they need now are some armed and antisocial woodland creatures. As for the words, a term I use loosely, they ring hollow, based on what happens if 5 seeds are planted. I mean, prosperity and advancement? You call turning into that advancement and prosperity? For whom? Yeah, I doubt those who are aware of what happens would see it that way. At least until their minds are compromised. And they aren't themselves. Finally, we have a utility abnormality. One that has risk and benefits. The giant tree sap. This is sap from a gigantic tree found in the outskirts. Not the Parasite Tree, that's too small. It was found on the edge of the world, with large numbers of green-coloured lifeforms around it. Could this be the fairy festival? It heals the one who drinks it physically and causes them to regenerate over time. Unfortunately, there's a chance that it could make that employee explode within 20 to 30 seconds of drinking it, damaging the mental health of the section that the abnormality is in. The chance of this happening depends on the amount of sap consumed by the employee. The tree used this sap to pacify any creature near it in order to feed on those that died due to overconsumption. Similar to the pitcher plants, except much bigger. The reason why they exploded rather than melted, as the creatures and employees did when they consumed it, was that they were near the tree when that happened, and the sap was far enough away for that not to happen. As for the chances of exploding, think of it like playing Russian roulette, where you have a 6-chamber revolver with one of the holes having a live round in it, where if you miss the bullet, another bullet is placed in one of the empty holes. Then you keep going until you either shoot yourself in the head sooner, or you have a gun that only has a 1 in 6 chance of surviving rather than dying, as it was at the start of that life-threatening game. Apparently the Japanese have a child-friendly version of that. Child-friendly, as in a toy that shoots you with a hollow plastic round rather than something lethal. In the world of Lobotomy Corporation, not even horticulture is safe, as the plants aren't as nice as they appear. Until next time. Hail the rabbit!